Hello, everyone. Yes. So, I cannot tell you what an honor it is to have as one of my co-captains, Mr. Robert Mousy Thompson, the former personal drummer of James Brown from 1993 to 2006, up to the time of James Brown's death. He was the drummer who played drums at James Brown's funeral service in the James Brown Arena, and I believe Macon, Georgia, that was aired live on CNN TV. Michael Jackson was there for the funeral, and I'll never forget seeing Michael peering down at James Brown in his open coffin with Mousy on drums. Incredible. Also, it was the BET Awards, and James Brown was performing on stage, and Robert Mousy Thompson was on drums. And then he crept through the backstage and jumped out on stage with James Brown and Robert Mousy Thompson at the BET Awards, and it was Michael Jackson. Then after that, I believe Michael Jackson presented James Brown with the with a significant, very top of the line BET award. I think the BET Legend Award. Mousy played for Ed Kendricks of the Temptations, as in Motown Records, Temptations. He played for Wilson Pickett and the Midnight Movers for 10 years. Wilson Pickett, if you saw the movie recently on the AMC channel last week, starring John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, the movie's called The Great Outdoors. That song at the very end of the movie, when the credits are on the screen and they're all dancing and having a blast at this lodge bar, that's Wilson Pickett. So that movie was 1988. I believe that Mousy was Wilson Pickett's drummer still at that time, because he didn't become James Brown's drummer until 1993. I remember Mousy, I believe he told me he auditioned with all of these other drummers at the Imperial Theater, I believe, Macon, Georgia. And James Brown walked behind him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "You're the one, and you're coming with me." So Mousy is beyond legendary and historic, not just throughout the DMV and DC area, but just in pop history and culture. He is. He also worked with Bootsy Collins of Parliament Funkadelic, and Bootsy Collins was a part of James Brown's JBs. He's also in a side project band called the American All-Star Vinyl Band, featuring one of the co-founders of Boston and one of the co-founders of Steely Dan, who then left Steely Dan and became a Doobie Brother and recruited Michael McDonald and brought him into the Doobie Brothers. And that guitar player was Jimi Hendrix's bassist for Jimi Hendrix's New York City Greenwich Village band of 1965 called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, that was put together at the time by Keith Richards' girlfriend, as in Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. So, I cannot tell you what an honor it was when Robert Mousy Thompson first heard my rough tracks of originals and testified on video that's on my YouTube channel and said, "When you folks hear this man's music, quote, you are in for a big awakening." Or when I called him October of 2020 and I sung a verse from Michael Jackson's Out of My Life from the Off the Wall album, and he said to me on the phone, quote, "Jorge, that was off the chain." So to my brother Mousy, I love you, man. I'm so glad you came into my life along with all the others on our team, and we're here at last, man. This is all happening right now in real time, in real motion. I wanted to do these video logs then my 6 set list showcases, Truly Unplugged, and then our concert. And then I'd like to do my album debut and have us all signed and contracted in the studio, surrounded by the absolute very top of pop recording history and culture of the last 100 plus years. All right, man. So, hey, Mousy, I love you, man. And I remember when I shared with Mousy, I think it was last year on the phone, that George Bush Jr.'s appointed chairman for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, retired Air Force General Myers, I believe a 4-star Air Force general who was in charge of every branch. He was in charge of the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force out of the Pentagon. And I'll never forget when retired Air Force General Myers started talking to me at a Starbucks in Arlington, Virginia, many years ago. And long story short, said he saw something about me. He saw something big around me. And I told him that I was thinking about getting involved in politics. This is like 10 plus years ago. I didn't have 800 plus living members of the very top of pop history and culture's 100th anniversary around me like now. Okay. So in that conversation between General Myers and I in that Starbucks on Wilson Boulevard in Arlington, Virginia, right across the street from where the internet was founded and formed. Yes, I just learned that several weeks ago. Yeah, and look, here I am now. Look what it did for me. Look at what it's doing for me. Look at what I'm doing with it. But retired Air Force General Myers, the former chairman for the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the United States of America's federal government and all of its armed branches out of the Pentagon building, said to me, and you know I wouldn't make this up, he said to me, if I were you, I wouldn't bother or waste my time with American politics because it is a waste of time. Take it from me. That is what he said to me. When I shared that story with James Brown's former personal drummer, Mr. Robert Mousy Thompson, last year, you know what his response to me on the phone was? He saw something big around you. He should have said colossal. All right, man. That's this video log. Jorge Estrada, DC, Dicer Mutatio Formulae, the Roman emperor of nuked all of them and all of theirs and all of it at its eternal endism. Are you laughing at me?